Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very special episode of Deep Seeded Geek. This is our monthly Game of the Month section where we look at a particular game and we discuss it at length for all of you lovely people out there. And this month, we decided to focus on free-to-play games. So each of us has picked an individual game of our choice, and we're here to talk about them at length. But before we do that, and before I introduce these lovely gentlemen to my side, actually, screw that. Let's introduce them first, and then I'll come back to this.
Yeah.
But before they tell us who they are, I want to know from each of you, what was the biggest what the fuck moment you've had in video games this year?
This year?
Yeah, and I didn't say we're starting with you.
Okay.
Go ahead. Who are you?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah, sure.
Okay, hi, I'm Cory, again. That one guy on Steam had me up. Biggest WTF moment this year? You know, I gotta tell you, the game didn't live up to my first experiences with it. But when I was initially getting into Assassin's Creed 3, and we find out that for the first few hours of the game, we've been playing as a Templar rather than an assassin. That was a big moment. That was a big moment.
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to spoil.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not playing that piece of shit.
You play the original. You play the first few hours of the game as what will be for the rest of the game the main character's father, and it sets it up in such a way that you're really just ready to dive into this big mystery, and then it all just kind of gets thrown out the window.
If they would have ended the game there, it would have been a great game.
Absolutely.
Great story. Short.
So they started with the ending.
They started too strong.
They started with the better story, and then fast forward out of that story into a new story that's not nearly as compelling.
Right. Fair enough. You, sir.
Prison Architect. That's about it.
But is that a what the fuck moment, or is that more of like ew, not expectation?
Or what the fuck? This costs $30 and it sucks balls.
And I'll have you know, it's available on Steam now for I want to say $30. I was gonna say, wait a minute, I think it's $5.
I don't know about you gentlemen, but on the prison since we brought it up, since our last video, have not played it.
No.
I put it away, haven't felt the desire to touch it since.
And we did send them a copy of our Prisoner Architect Game of the Month thing. We haven't heard back from them yet.
Aww.
But I do get emails quite often from their company saying, hey, we've improved on our gameplay. Check it out.
Oh,
that's all I'm going to say.
Boldness.
So, Prison Architect. All right, fair enough.
Sorry.
You, sir. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Dean. Hi. Omnimus69 on YouTube. You can check out my simulation videos.
That sounds
What are you simulating?
You know, really fun stuff like farming.
Oh, sweet.
He is wearing a John Deere hat though, so, you know, he's your bread and butter.
I did the real thing, yeah.
I called it life, not a game.
Biggest what the fuck moment was I was gearing up to purchase and be playing SimCity.
Ooh.
And I went from that to disinterested and completely from disinterested to the opposite and completely uninterested. EA screwed up massively in my I thought it was going to be a single player game, and it's you need an online element consistently.
It was a spectacular wreck on a lot of fronts, that game.
Yeah.
They worked in microtransactions into the game. They just commercialized one of my favorite games. They screwed up a great franchise, and it came out of the gates. It fell on its face.
Broken. Yeah.
It broke.
Yeah, if you guys do a quick search on SimCity, well, if you guys are watching this, obviously you're gamers, you've probably heard it already. But if you haven't, check out SimCity reviews and just quick little takes on YouTube on the game launch, and you'll see just how catastrophic this launch has been. And what's kind of scary, well, this could be a whole nother conversation for us, but it's kind of scary how a lot of game publishers and developers are looking at this always online connection thing as what they want to do in the future. So hopefully SimCity kind of shows them like, might not work out the way you want it to. But anyway, that is us, and I'm Jason. Hi.
I didn't say my name.
No one cares.
I thought you were Jason.
I thought you were John. Steer.
Josh. By
The
way.
jokes go way, way, way worse than that throughout the show. Anyway, before we move on, we had a contest going on last time. We were giving away a copy of the video game Don't Starve. Actually, it's the beta still. And we need to announce a winner. So, all you had to do to win the prize was to comment on the videos before from last show. I can't talk. Leave a comment, like the video, all that kind of jazz, and our favorite one wins the game. So, the winner is K711 Wilkie, W-I-L-K-E. That is you. Thank you very much for watching and commenting. You got a copy of Don't Starve from Clay Entertainment.
K711LP Winky.
Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Rolls right off the tongue.
Now we have another giveaway. Yes, we are giving away yet another video game this week, or this month, excuse me. So, like I said, comment, like, share, favorite, send us dirty pictures, whatever. And you will win your very own copy of The Binding of Isaac. A fantastic game. And it comes with its DLC as well. So, if you want to get your hands on that, let us know. And with that, we're going to start our free-to-play Game of the Month discussion. So, how this is going to work... We're going to go down the line, and each of us is going to talk about our particular game, what the ins and outs of it as a game are, the graphics, sound, all that. And then we're going to jump into the discussion about free-to-play games as a whole. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with Cory. You picked Star Trek Online.
I sure did.
All right. So,
Yes, sir.
if you can run down graphics, sound design, game type, gameplay, and the narrative.
Okay.
And what you liked, what you didn't like, anything like that.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, Cryptic Star Trek Online is a game wherein you take the place of a young and upcoming, right at this point right now, you start the game playing an up-and-coming young Starfleet officer. The game primarily takes place on two fronts. There's a third-person perspective style gameplay a la World of Warcraft, where you're on away missions and you're down on planets fighting bad guys, doing things like that. And then there's a 3D space battle part of the game where you're flying around fighting other ships, doing exploring space and doing objectives like that. The game's got a really, really in-depth exploration system, and there's a lot of really fun things to do while you're running around captaining your own ship. That's I think the nut of it right there is more than playing a character and more than playing a ship. You're commanding a ship. You get to go on these great little adventures, but you also have to assign officers to your stations and equip your ship with different abilities and things like that. So yeah, that's the game. Other than that, the game plays like a lot like World of Warcraft theme park style MMO. Travel around the galaxy, go on away missions, things like that. But it has a lot of, like I said, a lot of neat features and a really, really strong tie to both the Star Trek community and the gaming community. The game itself takes place in the canon universe, the universe shared by all the TV shows and the recent movies, not the reboot. So they're basically, for those people who follow that story and follow the Star Trek lore, you get to sort of actually involve yourself in the same universe as the Enterprise, the shows that you grew up watching, right? The other part of it is the Foundry, which is really neat for those people. It is a free-to-play game, and I'm pleased to say that literally everything is free in this game. You don't have to pay a cent to play anything in the game. The one thing that subscribing gets that I've seen that really makes it worth paying for is you get access to what's called a Foundry, which is the player-created content. You by subscribing to the game, you unlock all of the ancillary features to the game, including the ability to create missions that other players can play in the game.
Really?
And there are some outstanding missions out there, my friend. Very, very cool stuff.
I could see... When you think about like the hardcore Trekkies out there and everything like that,
hardcore Trekkies are going to love this game. There are a lot of really fun little nods to the show. The Guardian of Forever. Leonard Nimoy does voiceover work for the game.
Shut up, really?
He straight up does. You will fly to a new area of the map. Like the first time you get in your ship and you fly to like the Klingon neutral zone,
Yeah.
Spock comes on and he introduces you to the zone and why it's an important zone and what's going on and what the missions in that area are all going to revolve around.
Huh.
At one point in the game, you travel back in time where you team up with Scotty to a young Scotty to solve a mission. Later on in the mission, you're flying around and you have to assist the Enterprise in fending off a bunch of bad guys that have attacked the station.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, the Enterprise hails you, and it's actually Spock speaking to you, saying thank you for your assistance. And
Huh.
you know, the level of immersion is bang on, man. It's
Yeah.
if you're a Star Trek fan at all, it's a game to be playing.
See, and I don't know much about Star. I never watched Next Generation. Any of the in my time Star Trek shows. I've never watched any, and I've only caught like a few reruns of the original Star Trek. Never been a hardcore or anything like that. But that sounds awesome.
It's a lot of fun. The community is really strong. The game, the really neat thing too is it's in a lot of these theme park MMOs. When we say questing, we talk about go fetch 10 of these things or go kill 20 of these things.
Yeah.
And Star Trek, the missions are a lot more abstract. They're things like go off and explore this sector of space. We'll tell you when you're done. Or you might go to you might beam down to a planet and it's completely uninhabited, and the whole purpose of that mission is scouting the area looking for anomalous spatial readings. And so you're just kind of running around. You have to watch out for traps like pitfalls in the natural terrain of the level. But there's no shoot 'em up, there's no fetching, there's nothing like that.
So that's gameplay and everything. Now, what about the technical side of it? The graphics, the sound design, music, voice work, whatever.
Well, the music is a weak point. I'll definitely say the music is a weak point. They have a soundtrack of sorts. It's a good handful, 8 songs, 12 songs, something like that. They're inoffensive, but they're repeated so often. I really very.
You're in an action sequence. Track 3.
Exactly. I got used to putting up my my CBC music player and just listening to the radio.
Yeah.
But all the sounds are really fun. Because like I said, it's a game for Trek fans. So whenever you access a menu or do anything like that with the mechanics of the game, you get all the cool Star Trek computer sounds, the beeps, the boops, and all the menus are laid out as though they were there. Yeah, exactly. All the menus are laid out like they would be laid out if you were on a Starfleet vessel of that time. You know,
The 1960s version.
No, the 1990s version.
And that's actually
1990s.
that's a cool little caveat to all of this is when you do go back in time, there is a decided difference in the decor between back then and the future versions of it. So it's very.
They do make a distinction.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Graphically, it's fun. It's like a lot of MMOs. It's not a powerhouse of graphics. It's not going to tax anybody's graphics card, but everything looks the way it should look. It's I think if we're using World of Warcraft as a benchmark, it's a little more mature than World of Warcraft in that style.
Okay, cool. Josh, what was your game?
My games were
Just singular.
Plural.
Yeah, we're only doing singular.
okay. Well, we'll pick one. Yeah. I did World of Tanks.
Okay.
World of Tanks was fun, I would say. Overall, it was a pretty immersive game.
What was it? A World of Tanks?
It was a World of Tanks. It was a completely random World of Tanks. You get basically large server, a bunch of people on one map at one time. The maps are fairly large in this game. Like they're
comparatively, how would you?
Battlefield 3 would be a good comparison.
Okay.
Basically, pretty wide open sandbox. You go wherever you want kind of game. As far as historical accuracy, they got pretty much every tank that was ever invented during the World War II era. From the low-tech light tanks to the highest of high-tech tanks. In this game, they start you off with the lightest, slowest tanks.
Of course,
You're basically fodder for anyone who's been playing for some time.
You're the pawn on the chessboard.
Yeah, you are a pawn on the chessboard to start off, and you don't really have a lot going for you. But definitely, as you play, you gain experience. You gain both experience and silver coins. Silver coins can help you research, getting newer tanks, so that you can start getting away from being in this tiny little aluminum can to getting into something a little bit more heavy duty that can take a few more hits than any other tank. So like you have your 3 classes. Actually, no, not just 3 classes. There's a few classes of tanks. You have your tank destroyers, your light tanks, your medium tanks, and your heavies. And tank destroyers, obviously, they have more power in their guns. Most of the tank destroyers don't have turrets, though. So like you have to basically, anywhere that you're turning your tank, you're firing in that direction. Versus, the advantages of having a smaller tank with turrets on top that you can kind of, oh, there's someone behind me. I don't have to turn my tank right around to shoot at them. And so there's certain advantages to every vehicle, and you pick whichever way. Basically, there's a tree of tech advancements that you can do, and you can decide what kind of tank do I most want to drive. And this is what I loved about the game, is that you can. Well, I kind of like the light tanks because the light tanks they're very quick. They're kind of like they're for surveillance. They shoot and scoot kind of thing, and that can be a very effective tactic as long as you're playing to that strategy, right? But if you're driving a heavy tank, they are slower to move. Depending on what kind of technological advancements they have. Some of the heavy tanks are both incredibly fast and incredibly heavily armored and have incredible firepower. Yeah. So
now, is this all the tanks and everything? Is it just primarily World War II era?
This is a World War II play. Okay. This is and you have different nationalities. Okay. Basically, you get your French tanks, your Chinese tanks, your Russian tanks, your German tanks, which all is my personal favorite. Yeah. American tanks, British tanks, all in one.
Canadian tanks?
It's a tossed salad. No, well, the British tank.
Interesting that you would use that term.
Canada is part of the Commonwealth, so yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
If you wanted to mix them in there with the British tanks.
So how many players online can you have at one time?
Oh God, I think there's something like 24. Don't quote me on that.
What? That's huge.
That's it's pretty good. Like there are a lot of tanks to start off. Like
Call of Duty. Take note.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But anywho, you get this huge squad of tanks all together, and you try and work strategically. Don't be a noob and run straight up the gut all by yourself, because you're gonna get pwned in every single way. You learn that.
Target.
Yeah, you learn that. You learn that pretty quick. It's all about using the foliage in the game. Foliage. I like foliage. Foliage.
It's funny to think that you're trying to be stealthy in a fucking tank.
Yeah, but well, no, really, because if you think about it, they have just as good a chance of killing you as you have killing them. Cool. And you typically will want to stick, if there is someone that has a heavy tank and you're in this tiny little putt, you want to stick close to the big tanks, and because those people have experience and they can also take more hits than you can, so you kind of like use them as cover and then like poke around them and go.
I keep thinking of that Looney Tunes commercial where there's the big bulldog kind of guy and the little scrappy one, like, yeah, we're gonna get him.
Hey Spike, yeah,
hey Spike.
Shut up.
Graphics. How does this game look?
You know what? It's not bad for a free to play game. I was impressed with it. It's not like the greatest graphically enhanced game that I've ever played, but as far as a free to play game goes, considering like the last free to play game I played a long time ago was RuneScape. It was like cartoon characters, so it's a huge upgrade for me. But mind you, times have changed. Things are getting better.
Now, here's a question I have for you specifically, because we constantly have this discussion about how the realism of a video game kind of pulls you out sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where you say you that's where you split on Call of Duty, where it's like Battlefield 3 has this immersive kind of feeling to it, and when you go back to Call of Duty, it's laser tag, like we usually call it. So looking at World of Tanks, how immersive do you feel with the look of this?
It's hard for me to believe that. Well, you start with a mix of tanks. It's not German tank. Well, you can. The beauty of this game is that you can join clans, and if you guys just want to roll with just German tanks, then you can be like the German squad or whatever. Or if you guys want to
German
squad for das Vaterland. I've screamed that so many times when I'm like, oh my god, you bitch, for das Vaterland! And I fired and just fucking rammed a shell through his turret. But I love that part of the game. But I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track. What were we just talking about?
No, just the immersiveness.
Oh,
of
you know,
graphics.
it's immersive as in, like, it's not realistic. Yeah, that's not the focal point of the game. The focal point of the game is like tanks. Doesn't matter. But basically, I've just been going into random matches. I haven't joined any clans or anything like that.
Okay.
But basically, it's a mix of tanks on your team. Everyone has like green name tags over top, so you'll have a French tank, a Russian tank, a German tank, a mix of the different kinds of tanks to whichever these people want to play with.
In the world of tanks, if I wanted to play a plane,
no.
What about a car?
No.
A boat?
No.
A train?
I think you're missing the concept.
If you
here.
said a tank,
Guy on a horse.
Just ask yourself if the word tank is in there. If it's yes, then yes.
What about an air?
What about a water tank?
you know what?
Hot air balloon.
It's funny that you mentioned this because I wanted to make some commentary on this part.
Little tiny guy ready to butterfly.
If you wanted to make this a realistic game, you'd have to add so many different elements, like infantry, landmines. Put airplanes in there. Put things that are. But that's expanding on the game.
This is more of like, is it in any way like a simulator?
It's a tank simulator, but it's no. I've seen some better tank simulation games. If you're looking for the realistic tank experience, I think there's Arma
2?
No,
Arma
it's
3.
Is it Arma? No, it's not Arma 2. It's Eastern Front.
Oh yeah, okay.
Eastern Front. Now that, from at least videos that I haven't played it, but I've watched videos, and that is a more real. If you're looking for like a tank experience with complete realism, they have both infantry, anti-armor guns, all kinds of a mix of things that you have to play with. That if you're looking for an interesting game that is a World War II tank simulation game, play that game. This is more a time burner, I think.
Okay.
If you're looking to save money on a game, you're bored of what you're playing, you just want to try something new, I think this is a good game to play. There are microtransactions in the game, tons of them.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. What else did you want to
Well,
ask
I'm assuming
me
there's no narrative to World of Tanks.
No, not really.
Okay. I think Cory has a question.
No, that was my question. Is there like a story?
Oh,
or
okay.
There is no story. This is
Multiplayer.
like, it's basically COD with tanks.
Okay.
COD with tanks.
Because we know COD doesn't have a story.
COD has their storyline, but
Loose.
as far as but multiplayer wise, there's no storyline. There's nothing.
Well, that's cool.
Pardon
That's
me.
cool. All right, Dino, what was your game?
I played Ghost Recon Online.
Sweet.
That's a Ubisoft game. The graphics were good enough, again. I've seen better graphics in a free-to-play first-person shooter, but I don't think it was more the style of the graphics that was intriguing. Like, they're very clean cut, very quick. So, like, a lot of games will spend extra time on lighting or shadows and stuff, and this is, like, they seem to spend more time on the heads-up display.
Okay.
So, for example, like, they would give you bonuses if you're near your squad mates. Like, if me and Josh went up to a point, and then you went over that way, Josh and I would be connected by a little line that would give each of us a little bonus, and you would be not connected to the squad off by yourself, and you wouldn't get any kind of bonus. So,
so it's very team focused.
Exactly, they encourage you to stay with your teammates.
Okay.
The sound, nothing stellar at all.
The actual gameplay, what about...
Well, the gameplay itself, it was good. It was third-person shooter.
Third person?
It was a lot like playing like a Resident Evil 5 or whatever.
Huh.
But they had a lot of like sliding mechanics and cover mechanics that were really useful. And as you actually went into these covers, they would show you percentages that you gain from going in that cover. Like, you've gained a 40% bonus to damage from bullets, and a 30% bonus to cover from explosives and etc. Things like that. And then other than that, it's just, I mean, there's no narrative to the game. Very, very simple.
It's just mission go.
Exactly. You queue up in the lobby, and they try and match you to a place where you'll have the best connection, or your level is closest to the other people playing the game. Because there's definitely, like any most free-to-play games, you like that. First-person shooters, rather. You're actually leveling up and unlocking more weapons and more equipment and stuff. But you can also augment that with gold coins you can purchase in game.
Okay.
To, I guess, increase the speed at which you unlock stuff and the tools, and like you can buy grenades, for example, with these gold coins.
Right.
So if you want to do really good in a match, you could go in with 10 grenades or 5 grenades and blow the hell out of the other team, but you're spending a shit ton of gold coins for just a bunch of grenades. So it's definitely based on microtransactions, but it's a good game.
Cool.
It's not a bad game. I had played Planetside 2 before, and I was quickly pushed away from the idea of playing Planetside 2 because it was so massive, and they drop you into a war zone, and they don't tell you what to do or where to go or anything. It's just have fun.
Yeah.
In this game, there's actually a little bit of tutorial. If there is a narrative, I would say it would be them explaining new abilities to you as you unlock them. And they did this with YouTube videos.
Within the game?
Embedded in the game. So they're like, okay, you get 2 abilities. You click on one, and a YouTube video would come up, about 20 seconds of the developer showing and explaining what that ability does.
The Secret World did something similar. Secret World had an in-game browser that was automatically linked to, like, YouTube as your homepage. In the Secret World, it's more about puzzle solving and mystery solving. So you would actually have to, like, somebody would give you a clue about something you were supposed to be learning about, and you'd actually have to Google something he had said to understand more about putting the puzzle together. But anyways.
So, not to take us off track or anything like that, but do you guys think that's, like... You know, you always see, like, in-game advertisement in a lot of video games lately. Do you think that YouTube usage or that Google search thing is their kind of in-game advertisement?
I think it's... I wouldn't call it advertising so much as a mechanism designed to keep me, the player, from alt-tabbing the game closed.
Yes.
Okay. But do you think, like, a company like YouTube or Google went to them and said, hey, try and fit us into this product?
I think we're at the point that there are some products, especially online products, that have just completely saturated the market to a point that, no, I don't even think it's something that we need.
It just seems odd for it to pop up in a video game.
Sure, it does, but at the same time it doesn't, because they didn't have to pay for any kind of in-game engine or rights for some in-game engine. They just had to put a link to YouTube, and they don't need any
which is very smart.
Yep.
Which is very smart. Yeah.
And it fits with the free-to-play model. So
cool.
Yeah, no, it's a decent game. I would definitely recommend it to anyone that wants to check out a new first-person shooter.
Sweet. Third.
You're right. You're absolutely
That's what
correct.
threw me off because when you
it
mentioned
is.
Ghost Recon, from what I remember from Ghost Recon games, oh no, I guess they are third person, aren't they?
They were third person. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I guess it's just the mentality.
very
Military
well done.
shooter, you assume first person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.